Alright. 23 out of 23. Okay.
If cancer were a place, nearly the entire population of Kitchener would be diagnosed every year. Right now, 1 Canadian hears it's cancer.
Insisting it's still too low because the province pays for full-day kindergarten, which is something not all provinces support.
We've been geniuses and dreamers researching all cancers. Help us make life better today and transform the future of cancer forever. Visit cancer.ca to learn more.
Pandemic has changed our world.
What will happen next?
For the latest on Omicron and how to stay safe.
I'm going to be the bus driver. I'm going to be the garbage man. I'm going to be the mailman. I'm going to be
Students are preparing to return to
the crossing guard.
Weeks, but as cities finds on main reports, students and teachers are incredibly worried about the COVID pandemic and the apparent lack of preparation.
In-person learning is set to gradually resume at the University of Toronto starting February 7th. The student who wanted to stay anonymous says they were told most courses would be in person.
My preference is certainly to be in person, but I don't think it's realistic or practical in a global pandemic that we're facing right now.
At York, all classes
That was a
were
very
supposed
realistic
to resume in
thing to
person
say.
at the start of the semester will do so by February 14th, while Ryerson announced on its website that a full return is expected by February 28th. The University of Toronto Faculty Association says the school isn't working with student and employee groups to plan the safest possible return. In Toronto, I'm Faisal for City News.
Coming up in just 60 seconds, the business report with RE City News Time, 6:25.
1877 cars for kids. KARS cars for kids.
Oh, Jesus.
Cars for kids.
Isn't that a great song? No, I mean, it could have been crappy, and it just makes you fucking sing along to it.
1877 cars for kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today, and your car can be gone tomorrow.
There are 25 Swedish words for snow. A Volvo is made to extend all of them. Rigorously tested in Sweden's Arctic Circle, every Volvo is designed to handle even the harshest Canadian winters. So no matter the
That's a lot of fucking space there.
technology is designed to help make sure you and your loved ones arrive safe and sound. Finance the 2022 Volvo XC90 from 2.49% at 2021 IIHS Top Safety Peak Plus winner. Conditions apply. Visit your local GTA Volvo retailer or volvocars.ca.
City News Time, 6:26.
Time for the business report brought to you by Scotia I Trade at the Business Center. Ari Rabinovich. Well, thanks again, Scott. Well, after a stock sell-off that at one point rivaled any of the last 2 years, we had all the damage reversed on Wall Street, with buyers emerging just before the markets closed. Now, the Dow Jones at one point was down 1,100 points. It made quite the rally to just get above the green by 100 points at 34,364. The S&P 500 at 4,410. It's just 12 points higher, but again, made quite the rally to make back some of the damage done today. The Nasdaq 13,855, adding 86 points and erasing a loss of nearly 5% today. The TSX, that at one point fell below 20,000 points, so it did make a bit of a push towards the close, but it ended up still down for the fifth straight day by 50 points at the end. That 20,571 is the TSX. Some of that was because Shopify, it had quite a loss today, but ended up gaining 7% just before the close, and that helped push the TSX a little bit higher, but again, just shy of closing in the green. Meanwhile, oil is trading now at just above 1%, $84 US per barrel. Gold higher by $1.60, $1,845 per ounce. Canadian dollar higher by 3/100ths of a cent, 79.16 cents US. We also had shares in Netflix weighing down on the Nasdaq today, as the streaming giant is in its fourth straight week of losses, down 2.6%, and on pace for the worst one since September 2011, after a disappointing earnings report from this past Thursday. We also had the so-called meme or Reddit stocks getting slammed today, with GameStop down.
Can't call them internet.com stocks, can you?
And
Want to.
AMC down 7.5%.
This will be
7.5%.
expensive.
We also have the ongoing shortage in semiconductor chips. Still a problem with supply chain issues, and that sends down the shares in manufacturer AMD down 2%. Also, the demand for new cars. They need a lot of semiconductor chips as well as other parts, and it seems the supply chain issues are really catching up with Ford. They've actually had to cancel all new orders for their new small pickup, the Maverick, as they've simply run out of the ability to deliver on any more orders at this point. So no more Mavericks for now for the Ford Motor Company. Shares in IBM are also up 2%, extending trading after earnings were released, and it appears investors like what they see. The software and services company said revenue climbed 6% in the fourth quarter. At the City News Business Center, I'm Ari Rabinovich.
Investing doesn't have to be daunting. In fact, you probably already do it. If you've updated your kitchen or basement, you're already an investor. If you collect vintage vinyl, yep, you're an investor. Or if you've dedicated time to your education, you got it, investor. Start direct investing with Scotia iTrade and get up to $2,000 cash and $4.99 stock and ETF commission pricing. Or up to $500 free stock and ETF trades when you open an account. Sign up at ScotiaITrade.com.
Here's the question. Why should I spend money on a phone plan full of things I don't need or even want? Sounds kind of odd if you ask me. Think about
Ground
it.
storage
If you're
for my
the one making all
chopsticks
the
is,
calls, then why is the
I
phone
don't know.
company calling all the shots? It doesn't seem right? That's why I like Public Mobile. Affordable plans, no contracts, and amazing rewards. It's mobility on your terms, and my terms, and our terms. But definitely not their terms. Public
Terms and
Mobile,
conditions
mobility on your terms.
City News Time 6:30.
Toronto's #1 for breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is City News 680 everywhere.
It's Monday, January 24th. I'm Sljana Tibinzik.
I'm Scott Burnett. Here's what's making news right now. Greasy, slippery snow in Toronto again.
We're talking
And
about
all you need is
amounts
a
topping
shoveling
near
into the
10
road again,
centimeters.
because you're
With the city
retarded.
still digging out from last Monday's blizzard.
Yeah, because it's the same snow.
6 schools has an absenteeism rate above 25%. 16 are shut down. We're hearing from the
I could not make this up. They are right now shoveling the snow that's been on the ground for a week into the road as it's snowing.
But the Prime Minister isn't budging. Justin Trudeau
turkey
is
and
defending the order.
And this is
We'll hear from John
chicken
Tavares,
salad.
who says before practice the Leafs address the latest racist issues in hockey, and we have a pretty big tennis match
The
tonight.
latest racist issues.
Wall Street closes in
Not the latest
but
racism
investors are
issues
still
or issue.
uncertain about
The latest
future,
racist.
including
This issue's racist. Me calling you saying anything about me calling you is racist.
56. News Time 6:31.
No, we're not going to be listening to the news for very long.
The Salvation Army, here's how hockey.
You magically are going to get robbed again right before Christmas and then raise double the money 2 weeks later.
Finally cleared, but
Sorry.
east to Brock Road, right lane is blocked for the collision, and
That's
approaching
not
Salem,
Toronto, I'm
the
gonna
left lane is blocked for the Stoke snowplow. You're still going to find this very heavy stretch of volume from Dixon to about Brock Street, alternately expressing collectors. So straight across the city of Toronto through Scarborough and into Durham region. Durham is where we're getting the heaviest of the snowfall right now. So a lot of that volume is weather related. And of course, those issues in Durham region not helping either. Westbound
If you were wondering, there is never a time when the weather is relevant to a collision.
West of the 404 Express, still a vehicle in the right lane, so backed up to the 404 in the
Believe
Express.
what you want.
More delays from approaching Yonge towards the 400, alternately Express and collectors. Watch out for a new problem approaching Dixie in the Express. 2 left lanes blocked for the crash, just starting to back up here. And then it's heavy Mavis Express and collectors to Mississauga Road. From the 680 Traffic Center, Zach Bodenstein.
You've got plows making their way out across the highways, so southbound 400 slow through Teston because of that. Plows traveling west 403 here Ontario to Erin Mills. Northbound 410 just busy with volume right now from Steeles to north of Queen. Also slow on the eastbound Gardner from Spadina to Jarvis. And then northbound DVP heavy from Dundas to north of Lawrence. And new problems on Lawrence on city streets westbound at Underhill just before the DVP. Right lane blocked off with a crash. Thousands of Canadians once again being impacted by the pandemic. Help feed neighbors in need by donating to salvationarmy.ca/COVID relief. With the forecast, Denise Andriacci.
COVID.
That's still coming down across the GTA. Weather advisory
advisories in place from Hamilton through to the city of Toronto, but southern Durham under snow squall warnings right now, and that's because of a squall that's off of Lake Ontario, and it's kind of slowly moving through there. It's dropping a lot of snow. Rapid snowfall rates are definitely going to be on the higher side of accumulations through pockets of Durham. The rest of the GTA, it's pretty light, but it's steady, and it's, you know, it's creating some problems for sure, slowing things down. It's going to be a nuisance for most of the evening. Overnight tonight, we're down to near -10. Tomorrow, highs your -6, chance of flurries.
Everybody's deciding this is when they're going to learn how to do U-turns and all this other shit.
City News Times.
I see people in brand new 4-wheel drive, full-size pickups, wheel spinning. You spent 80 grand on a truck, you didn't bother reading the instruction book? Fucking idiot.
City's Mark Douglas is in the West End and joins us with more.
Pretty much every highway, road, and sidewalk turned into a greasy, slippery mess with all this new snow. Our meteorologist, Natasha Ramsahai, says it gets worse as you go east.
There's that band of snow coming in off of Lake Ontario, and it is parked over Pickering, Oshawa, southern Durham. Amounts there topping out not near 10, but closer to 14 to 20 centimeters.
City crews still working to clear away the 55 centimeters that fell in last Monday's blizzard. City officials now say that blizzard dumped as much snow as we've had every January combined for almost the last 2 decades. There's a 24/7 army of 1,100 machines and 1,500 workers going at it.
Showing up to work every day wanting to help out. So it has been all hands on deck.
On Eglinton near Kipling, Mark Douglas, City News.
City News Time 6:35, not even a week after students from across the province returned to in-person learning, schools have already been reporting high rates of absenteeism, the new method being used to keep tabs on the potential spread of COVID. Here's City's Richard Southern.
Data available on the government's website is from numbers collected on Friday, and it shows 337 schools reporting an absenteeism rate of above 30%. That's almost 1 in 10. Another 262 schools reported absenteeism rates above 25%. However, only
30% is almost 1 in 10, eh?
Say which ones specifically. Dr. Moore says the 30% absenteeism rate in school is what the government's looking at, though that's not necessarily going to trigger a closure.
May include closure, may include further augmentation of the safety protocols within the schools to further keep them as open.
The guy who just said 30% is almost 1 in 10 graduated from your fucking schools.
They're counted as present, not absent. Critics say this doesn't give the full picture of the COVID situation in schools. Richard Southern City News.
A convoy of transport trucks from BC is headed for Ottawa to protest the federal government's COVID-19 vaccine mandate for truck drivers. Our Phil Martino joins us with the latest, including a reaction from the Canadian Trucking Alliance. Phil.
Scott, the Prime Minister is defending the vaccine mandate for cross-border truck drivers, saying getting vaccinated is the most important way to keep Canada's economy going.
What? Are you fucking retarded? The budget balances itself because you got a shot in your arm.
But also using rapid tests.
Hey, I'm going to have you home invaded not just a third time, but a fourth and a fifth, because you're a real piece of shit.
Alberta Premier Jason Kenney says this is neither the time nor the place to put
You are convincing me that you're a child molester and that's why you worked at a school, and now everybody's trying to keep you away from the school. That's why you got 2 Canadian Forces babysitters to keep you away from your own kids, you fucking goof.
Delay of a few months on this quarantine requirement for unvaccinated truckers who cross the border. I would just say, please extend that. Like, use some common sense.
Freedom Convoy 2022 continues its trek.
We have no pennies, therefore we are a senseless society.
Pennies. Saturday. Ahead of that, it's expected to pass by the overpass at Kiel and the 401 here in Toronto Thursday around 11:30 a.m. Now, the country's largest trucking federation has denounced the protest. In a statement posted to its website, the Canadian Trucking Alliance says it does not support and strongly disapproves of any protests on public roadways, highways, and bridges, especially those that interfere with public safety. Phil Martino, City News.
How are they interfering with public safety? It's a convoy, you moron. Oh, you're not allowed to demonstrate your opinion. They're maintaining the speed limit. They're not blocking the road. How exactly were they causing danger? Retard, you just fucked your
Global News reports
for-profit
there is concern in
business.
government that Russia or Russian-backed actors are responsible, but the feds are not confirming that. Mitigating actions were taken at the time, and as a result, critical services are still available. However, some internet services are not. It doesn't appear any other departments were impacted, and the government is not saying if any sensitive data has been compromised. Meanwhile, as tensions keep rising, NATO has outlined a plan to beef up its military presence in the region, and allies like the U.S. and UK are pulling some diplomats and their families from Ukraine. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau isn't saying if Canada plans to follow suit.
There are many contingency plans.
They already cleared them out 2 weeks ago, you fuck. Are you going to clear out the diplomats? They're not safe. 2 weeks ago, they told us.
Deploy more troops. France is hosting talks between Ukrainian and Russian officials on Wednesday in hopes of...
So apparently, if we only tune in every 2 weeks, they think we're so retarded we forgot what they said in the last video.
Has put about 8,500 U.S. troops on heightened alert. Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby says no decisions have been made on sending the troops.
I wonder if they're going to call the diplomats who came home last week back home last week.
This is really about getting folks ready to go in case they're needed.
I hate you people. I hope you fucking choke to death.
Invasion and says the Western accusations are merely a cover for NATO's own planned provocations.
Gas prices next.
Because it is.
This is City News 680 with GIC's Payne.
So I was intending to start this off with something useful. So my lighting's all fucked up.
Over 5 years ago, the Lind Equity Fund
Don't
was launched
click that.
focusing on stocks with moderate risk.
Plastic lamp sockets do not work. They melt. They always melt.
So far, the fund has achieved a 15.7% annualized return over the last 5 years, investing mostly in dividend and growth stocks. You can find out more at lindequity.com.
Why didn't you specify the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 10, and 7, and 8?
Now, the City News gas price update and pro predicting the price will not change at midnight. We should stay at just under $1.48 a liter. Traffic and weather together next.
The world looks different in winter. An empty slate, a blanket of silence, frosty tendrils clinging to every
Do I start on the fan or do I let's smoke some?
inescapable reality. That'll be gone before you know it.
So I got two of them.
Bring on winter in a Subaru with symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive. Ski all the hills and skate all the rings while the coolest time of the year is still here. Enjoy uncommon value.
They put her on classical or something.
You've got a rock star resume.
Good to hear.
So you wanna be a rock superstar?
Well,
Es esquina Bernardsthorpe y Tonker en Mississauga, 905-12.
Frigates, we're seeing operations land, sea, air on the part of NATO forces. And so there are those who are saying that it's the West that's escalating this. It's the West that is creating the tension, and Russia is simply reacting. What do you say to that?
Well, get these fans swapped up.
On our side,
The
the West
triple
is
swap.
annexing regions. The West is not trying to deny nationhood to various nations. It has principles and rules and international law that Russia has subscribed to.
I know a whole bunch of countries that would disagree with you.
Refuses to abide to. And as far as the comparison of the West and Russia, Russia does everything possible to try and showcase its true reality, from killing of various dissidents and political actors using chemical weapons in the West, to the unbearable foreign policy that is not just in the case of Ukraine, leading to horrible results. Look at Moldova or Georgia. Or examine the story between Russia and the Baltic states, and in general the attitude of Mr. Putin to norms of international law are clearly leading to the impossibility of drawing a similarity with the Western attitude to this attitude of Russia. Russia is clearly the actor that wants to disrupt the global world order and to remake it in its own fashion.
But all of the things you have cited have been going on for some time, and a lot of it is we can presume a large part of it is rhetoric. So are you saying you really do believe that Ukraine must prepare now for a larger Russian invasion, that not just a minor incursion, as Mr. Biden called it, but a real invasion, a war with Russia? You're saying that Ukraine...
Well, because just taking some of your land's not bad enough.
It is not just side saying that it is Western security intelligence services of the states Mr. Biden can say it's a minor incursion, but the American intelligence services have clearly showcased that there's much greater problem that is occurring here, and much greater catastrophe in the making, with it removing the families of its diplomats from Ukraine and starting to remove its diplomats from Ukraine. Also, intelligence services of the UK, of Canada as well, of European nations, and altogether this is showing to us from the countries which know a good deal more about intelligence proceedings around the world. They have all the indications showcasing that we are facing something that seemed impossible in the 21st century.
Right. Now, you mentioned this, that UK and the US are pulling out their diplomatic staff. What are Ukrainians doing? What are ordinary people in the state? What are people doing? There's an article that's circulating, I understand, that describes
in the
if
street.
Russian
Do you realize how
tanks
cold it
arrive,
is in Ukraine right
what
now?
people
I'm not
should do,
100%
what
sure
you
how
should
much
do if
how
there is
cold.
shooting in the streets, what you should do if there's bombing. Are you seeing evidence of that? Are people actually in that frame of mind?
Well, people are coming
the
to
Ukraine state of mind.
It's clearly a process, and as far as the acceptance of the possibility of lives as they are being destroyed forever, that is truly something that is hard to consider, and people are trying to maintain normal life, but all of those things you were mentioning are happening. I will just mention that since the beginning of the war in Ukraine, we have at least 500,000 of people who went through those circumstances and seen all that horror with their own eyes, including yours truly, and they have prepared in one way or the other for this expanding, for this becoming a reality in other parts of Ukraine. So there's plenty of people who have been battle hardened.
I just wonder what role you think that Canada should play. There are requests for Canada to supply weapon systems. Other countries are supplying weapon systems to Ukraine. Canada says it's going to forward a very large loan to Ukraine.
And you can buy some weapons. That's like your grandmother won't give you weed, but she'll lend you $10.
Might not want to see Canada play this role. That we fear that we are contributing to some escalation. What do you say to them?
Canada is fundamental. It has always led the charge on the matter of upholding national law. Ukraine is very much a litmus case for international law, whether it's a reality or hypothetical. And disruption of it in one part of the world, this disruption is at the other. Canada was first to put sanctions on various Ukrainian corrupt regimes that have shown their absolute ambivalence to human rights and to Ukraine's European future. Canada has been first to try and support us.
The Ukrainians seem to want to be in NATO. They want to be a part of Western Europe.
The acceptance and democratic processes after the revolution. Canada has been first.
Turkey don't seem that interested. They're in Europe. They don't give a fuck.
Tremendous use to Ukraine's potential development and reform, launching various think tanks and foundations to try and help with that. And it's not just in Ukraine that Canada does this. Canada does this all over the world. That allows Canada to have that vision of a state that works well and does well. And I'm very thankful to the Canadian nation for that, and especially to our Ukrainian-Canadian part of it, which have been a part of the Canadian story ever since the beginning of Canada.
Mr. Yarash, I appreciate speaking with you tonight. Thank you.
Ever since the beginning of Canada. I like that. I like
is
that.
a government member of the Ukrainian Rada.
Listen, we're not anti-Canada or even
In Ottawa today,
anti-government
Prime
per se.
Minister Trudeau was asked if he'd be following Canada's allies in sending weapons or putting troops on the ground in Ukraine. Here's what the Prime Minister said.
We continue to work very, very closely with the government of Ukraine and with our partners in the region to make sure that we continue to demonstrate that we stand steadfastly by our friends in Ukraine. We will be there to continue to support Ukrainian people as we have over the past many years with military training missions, with direct support, economic.
I mailed them some marijuana seeds.
Agreements with strong people-to-people ties. We will continue to work closely with the government of Ukraine to ensure they get the support they need, and I'm sure there will be more announcements to come.
That was the Prime Minister in Ottawa today.
Both sides are meeting again tomorrow. Sports at 15 and 45 past every hour or anytime at sportsnet.ca.
Budget Plus qui aide les ménages à gérer leur budget. la consommation avait quand même repris, l'économie s'était remise à rouler. Donc, les gens ont eu plus d'occasions qu'il y a peut-être 18 à 24 mois. Donc, c'est sûr qu'il y a cet effet-là. Et à un moment donné, bien, ça nous rattrape. Hein. Il y a des gens, ils n'ont pas regardé d'assez près ou la situation financière ne s'est pas rétablie assez rapidement.
Et maintenant, autre chose qu'il faudra surveiller dans les prochains jours, c'est le sous-directeur à la Banque du Canada. Il y a plusieurs économistes qui s'attendent à ce qu'il soit rehaussé prochainement. Et ça aussi, ça pourrait faire mal, notamment à ceux qui détiennent des hypothèques à taux variables et aux ménages très endettés.
Ouais, la Fed américaine va nous donner un signal mercredi. On verra. Merci.
Certainement.
Merci, Laïla.
24 double rolls of cashmere bathroom tissue and 6 double rolls of sponge are just $9.77 each. Save big every week at Food Basics. That's you'll always get more for less.
City News Time 6:49. A high-ranking Toronto police officer accused of giving a few other lower-ranking officers an edge in the interview process has made her first appearance before a disciplinary panel. City's Karen Siolan joins us live with that. Karen.
Regina, the notice alleges Superintendent Stacey Clark was a mentor to a few constables trying to get promoted to sergeant while being part of the panel conducting the interviews. It further alleges she was directed this past November to cut off contact with the officers she was mentoring. But late that month, Clark allegedly sent them photos of the interview questions. She's also being accused of coaching one of the officers at her home in early December, then taking part in his interview without disclosing.
Okay, there's going to be a sex tape allegation. You're waiting for it. It's like, all right. It's going to be like cocaine and sex tapes.
The tribunal process, but if the charges are proven to be true, quote, it would most certainly undermine the current promotional process. The statement goes on to say that members must have confidence in that process, and there must be a fair and equal application of the rules, regardless of rank. The case has been put over until February 23rd. Reporting live, Karen Siolan, City News.
Traffic and weather together next.
What happens when you sleep well? You
No gas price, you miss it.
Focus well.
Place that she. I mean, it has to be tasted to be able to describe it.
Yeah.
So, and this is almost
okay,
empty
just
because we're working on the
before we get
dates
to the
now.
taste, just the visuals here. I mean, when it's called sheep face pizza, but this is not the face. This is the entire head of the sheep.
This is the entire head.
Lying on top of your
I
pizza.
mean, we are big into the use of food and sustainability, and like here we're using we're able to use all of the meat, not just the sheep legs like we many have on Saturday evenings. So here we have the head. It's cut in half, and people eat everything acceptable. So people will be nipping on the eye, taking the tongue, but the most juicy part goes from the chin.
Oh, that one's dirty already. There we go.
That's DJ Show performing at Scanado Village and Museum near Chatham, Ontario. You just heard War Club featuring Snotty Nose Res Kids. It's the final track off his War Club Live. Be sure to watch the video of War Club Live, just released on CBC Gem. DJ Shove also hopes to release War Club Live as an album, possibly on limited edition vinyl. So keep your eyes and ears open for that. Please check out our website at cbc.ca/music. While you're there, you can hear this entire concert on CBC Listen.
Oh, there you go.
Just search for CBC Music
I won't
Live.
feel bad about changing the
Thanks
station.
to Dan General for all that music. CBC Music Live is produced by Malcolm Gould. I'm Odario Williams. I hope you can join me next week for Emily Kahn.
Does anybody ever call you Odario?
Treat me like a
seeing some widespread light snow all across the
See how dark that is. Oh, that's perfect. All the feet are missing off this one. So this half I can just unscrew and wash in the sink. But back of the Is that mouse shit? Damn it, where'd that come from? Second anyway. shit. I want to get this fucking nasty dust on my food. This is not a new screwdriver. This is an old rusty one I found on the ground, but it's the perfect size for this. So when you have old beat up tools, sometimes it's good to hang on to them. You never know when you might need a one-time use out of that tool. If you're going to destroy the screwdriver, whatever it is, there's no point doing it to the new one, right? Ow. Alright, we'll make this work somehow. We'll make it work. So apparently the Beijing hour and world today is on right now, but guess what? I'm not fucking with that just yet. We'll do it after.
Good evening, I'm Christine Ross with the 7 o'clock news on the new Classical FM travel advisory for Toronto and Cobourg through this evening. For Collingwood, there is a snow squall watch. The system is bringing snow, heavy at times, up to 10 centimeters expected between now and when it ends right around midnight. I'll have details right after the news in Toronto now -6.
I've been watching the weather all fucking last 24 hours to see what I would or would not be able to do today.
Some diplomats and their families out of Ukraine, but Canada is not for now. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says several contingencies are in place to protect Canadians as the fears rise that Russia will invade. Trudeau is not saying if Ottawa is planning to send weapons to Ukraine. Condo owners in one building near Jane and Finch are on the hook for millions in repairs, and those who cannot come up with the money could be out on the street.
This building is in deplorable condition. And the judge, maybe you've seen the judgment that came out recently, but the judge said that urgent repairs are required for health and safety reasons.
Toronto condo lawyer Jonathan Fine commenting on the situation on Zoomer Radio's Fight Back, where he told Libby Znaimer it reminds him of the deadly building collapse in Florida.
If you remember that condo that collapsed
in Miami,
yeah. Well, you know, that is what I took from the judge's reasons that maybe this condo is that bad at this point. So there's no discussing it. Money is required, and it's got to come from somewhere, unfortunately.
But it doesn't mean you can put it out on the street.
Fine calls it one of the worst situations he's ever seen in his 35-year career. The U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum says
I swear, I leave things out of my house when I come back.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. made deeply offensive comments when suggesting things are worse for people now than they were for Anne Frank.
Even in Hitler's Germany, you could cross the Alps into Switzerland. You can hide in an attic like Anne Frank did.
Shut up.
I visited in East Germany with my father and met people who had climbed the wall and escaped. So it was possible. Many died doing it, but it was possible.
Frank died in a Nazi concentration camp after hiding with her family in Amsterdam for 2 years.
I got the book right here
During
somewhere.
the weekend rally in Washington,
Anne Frank,
Kennedy
The
complained
Diary
people's
of a Young
rights were
Girl.
being violated by public health measures.
Bob Dylan has sold his entire recording catalog to Sony and the rights to multiple future new releases in a deal said to be worth over $200 million.
Oh shit, the real news is
Slippery surfaces. Here's City's Mark Douglas.
This time, it's not the quantity of snow like last week's 55-centimeter blizzard, but thanks to lake enhancement, it's been bad enough. Here's our meteorologist, Natasha Ramsahai.
Because Lake Ontario is still largely unfrozen, that wind off the lake is driving in some additional moisture this afternoon. Pickering, Oshawa, topping out not near 10, but closer to 14 to 20 centimeters.
Over on top of the city still digging out from last week's storm. City officials describe just how big a job it is given how much snow actually fell.
So combined totals in January, every year for nearly the past 2 decades, we received more in 15 hours last Monday.
Salters for roads, plows for roads, and sidewalk machines. So literally it is an army of equipment.
Near Kipling and Eglinton, Mark Douglas, City News. Not even a week after students across the province returned to in-person learning, there is already a high rate of absences in schools. Richard,
so anytime you're dealing with metal screws and plastic, be gentle.
Collected on Friday, it shows almost 1 in 10 Ontario schools with an absenteeism rate of 30% or more. Yet, only 16 unnamed schools are closed. Dr. Moore says today that 30% threshold is when the government will start to look at what's happening in any particular school, but it doesn't necessarily mean the school's going to close down.
Our goal is to keep our students learning and to catch up on their mental, physical, social, and educational needs.
And indeed, Education Minister Lecce said, the goal is to keep schools open. More than 500 schools, though, had an absenteeism rate of 25% or more.
All designed to support in-class learning and reduce risk.
One important note here, though, if a student tests positive for COVID-19 and logs on to learn remotely from home, he or she is considered present. Critics say this doesn't give the full COVID picture in schools. Richard, Southern City News.
City News.
2 years in, we still can't figure this out.
A convoy of truckers continues to make its way to the nation's capital to protest the federal vaccine mandate for truck drivers. Dubbed the Freedom Rally at
Don't get out of your truck. Hold the paperwork you need to show up to the glass. Put your thumbprint against the glass and let them scan it. Then fuck them. What are they going to do? Arrest every truck driver and fucking tow every truck? With who? They need truck drivers to do that.
Once the vaccine mandate for truckers lifted, he says he's always said getting vaccination levels up, but also using rapid tests and other tools to make sure products get to store shelves.
That's what the government needs to do, and that's what we'll continue to advocate for.
Meantime, the convoy of truckers continues its trek to Ottawa. Durham Regional Police Constable Erin Howard has taken to Twitter to voice her support for the protest.
I really wanted to give a shout out to all the truckers. I think what you guys are doing is incredible. You're fighting for our rights and freedoms. And right now it feels like
so be very careful not to do that.
And those rights and freedoms are at stake.
Durham Regional Police say the views expressed in that video do not reflect the views and opinions of DRPS.
And you aren't required to fucking say that, stupid.
On the other hand, has denounced the truckers' protest in a statement posted to its website.
Somebody said something in public. Are the police responsible? What the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you commenting if you're not responsible?
Highways and bridges. From Martino, City News.
This news segment brought to you by Aaron Waxman and Associates. The province is reporting 3,861 people in hospital with COVID-19, 615 of those in ICU, although not all hospitals report over the weekend. 36 additional deaths were also reported today.
Because hospitals aren't open on the weekends, that.
Cases of COVID, but that's
9 to 5 only, buddy. Sorry.
Guidelines and backlogs.
Global Affairs Canada has been hit with a cyber attack, and reports say Russia may be responsible.
Don't lose these.
Canada's been vocal in its support
Don't lose these.
Ukraine
These are the clicky
fears
pieces.
of a Russian invasion.
On the same day, Canada's cyber spy agency issued a warning that Russia could target our critical infrastructure with cyber attacks. Global Affairs was hit with what the government is calling a cyber incident. It was detected Wednesday, and even though mitigating actions were taken, many internet services are still unavailable. Sources tell Global News the government is concerned Russia or hackers backed by Russia are behind this. Global Affairs has been vocal in its support of Ukraine against Russian aggressions. With an armed conflict between Ukraine and Russia looking more likely, allies like the UK and the US have pulled some diplomats and their families from their embassies in Kiev. But Prime Minister Justin Trudeau isn't saying if Canada will do the same and won't comment on whether he plans to send weapons to Ukraine or beef up our military presence on the ground there.
We will continue to work closely with the government of Ukraine to ensure they get the support they need, and I'm sure there will be more announcements to come.
France is hoping to de-escalate the situation by hosting talks with Russian and Ukrainian officials on Wednesday. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
City News Time 7:08. A Toronto police superintendent accused of offering a helping hand to officers who were preparing for interviews for promotions has made her first appearance before a disciplinary tribunal. City's Karen Seolan joins us live with that. Karen.
Regina Superintendent Stacey Clark is charged with 7 counts of misconduct under the Police Services Act. According to a notice of hearing, she was mentoring a few constables trying to get promoted to sergeant while being part of the panel conducting the interviews. The notice alleges she was directed this past November to cut off contact with the officers she was mentoring, but later sent them photos of the interview questions. Clark is also accused of doing a mock interview at her home with one of the officers, then participating in his interview without disclosing her conflict of interest. The Toronto Police Association says in a statement, it believes in everyone's right to due process, but added its members must have confidence in the promotional process, and there must be a fair and equal application of the rules regardless of rank. Clark will make her next appearance before the tribunal in February. Reporting live, Karen Seolan, City News.
Gas prices are coming up in 30 seconds.
This is City News 680.
You're suffering from depression and can't work. Your doctor and family
These are
both know
very,
you're too sick
very
to work,
similar.
and still, your long-term disability
They are
insurance
not
denies
the
your
same.
claim. My name is Aaron Waxman, and if your long-term disability claim is denied for any reason, call me 416-661-4878. And don't worry about upfront legal fees, because there are none. At my law firm, my team of lawyers only get paid when you get paid. And before you call, you should always remember that there are no bad questions. 416-661-4878 or on your cell phone at pound LTD.
Now, the City News gas price update. Pro predicting price of gas won't change at midnight, holding at $1.47.9 a liter. Traffic and weather is next. Quick Check showed me which Capital One cards I could get approved for with 100% certainty. I wish I was that certain about everything, like whether or not this coffee is decaf. Oh, yeah.
I suppose you can put oil or something in there. I'm not
Full
going
of
to worry about it.
uncertainties, but not knowing if you'll be approved for a credit card shouldn't be one of them. Quick Check lets you know with 100% certainty before you apply. Plus, it won't impact your credit score. Capital One, what's in your wallet? See our website for terms and conditions.
Scott McGilvery here. I started my career renovating basements, so I know how important it is to keep those floors warm. On my projects, I use DMX One Step 2.0. This easy-to-install underlayment.
I'm not even joking. If you try finding this product, all you find is DMX music videos.
Making it perfect for DIY installers. Even better, the air gap design creates a thermal break, making floors up to 6 degrees warmer than the concrete floor below.
Oh, there's screws there too. Hold on.
2.0.
Does that mean I can
No
swap
wall,
out those
no
too?
cold. Find it at the Home Depot.
City News Time 7-11.
Time for traffic and weather together on the ones. First up, the traffic center is Zach. Welcome to the ABS This report brought to you by Diamond and Diamond Lawyers. So, of course, a lot of snow plows out there. If you're in a delay, probably behind one of those snow plows as they make their way out. But right now on the eastbound 401, you'll find delays from Islington to Leslie.
This one has a washer and this one doesn't.
404 to Warden Express and to Kennedy and the collectors. Meadowvale to Brock Street, alternately Express and collectors. Then 2 issues on the eastbound 401. East of Brock Road, crash in the right lane. Stalled snowplow in the left lane approaching Salem. Westbound 401's busy right now from Fixon to Liverpool, alternately Express and collectors. Stalled vehicle on the West 401 west of the 404 in the Express. That's blocking the right lane.
So much for keeping this stuff
from here. Still moving pretty well despite that issue. North 400 plows causing a delay from King to Aurora Road. North DVP busy approaching Eglinton to north of Lawrence, then again through Bloomington because of plows. And that issue just cleared away on the North 427 at Langstaff. The right lane was blocked with a stalled vehicle again. That has been cleared. If insurance companies have high-priced lawyers fighting for them, who's fighting for you? Find out why there's nothing tougher than a diamond. Call 1-800-567-HURT for your free consultation. With the forecast, Denise Andriacci.
Light snow downtown Toronto, -5. That's the guaranteed high today. It took us up most of the day to get there. We are going to dip down to near -10 for an overnight low. We'll be dealing with this active weather sort of on and off the rest of the evening. Some areas more impacted, for instance, southern Durham region under snow squall warnings. We're going to lean towards 10 to 15 centimeters through there. Pickering, Oshawa, Ajax, and the Whitby area as well. And then the city of Toronto, likely
gentle with this
about
shit.
5 to 10 centimeters in and around the GTA. So we're watching the radar. It's pretty light, but it is steady, and it's been falling for a while. So we're certainly dealing with some tricky driving, at least for the next couple of hours. Tomorrow will be much quieter, mainly sunny in the morning. And then we may see a few flurries tomorrow afternoon. The story tomorrow is going to be the cold. It gets frigid tomorrow night, down to -20, feeling closer to -30. Overnight tonight, -10.
State Farm is trying something a little different around the Super Bowl this year.
The insurance company aired its first ever Super Bowl ad last year, featuring Canada's own Drake in one spot. This year, State Farm is launching the Team State Farm TikTok Challenge, using the Jake from State Farm character as a talent scout, evaluating video submissions. And on Super Bowl Sunday, February 13th, the top 3 videos will be pinned to Jake's TikTok page, and users will be asked to like their
can slide right in nice
Now,
and
State
easy. If
Farm
you have to
says
force
its
it, you're going to
agency
strip it.
partners at the marketing
And then
arm
don't crank it on.
decided to focus on TikTok to meet the next generation of consumers by showing up where they're spending their time. TikTok recently hit 1 billion monthly active users. At the Business Center, I'm Chris McCusker.
And I'm doing something similar to what you do on cars. You tighten them a little bit at a
Investment
time.
Expertise. Desjardins' industry-leading funds like the Desjardins Sociétaire Clean Tech Fund help treat 300 million liters of water
I don't believe you.
while aiming to deliver positive results for investors and the planet. This happy investor and dolphin will concur. For responsible investment, visit desjardinfunds.com/RI. To read the prospectus
So
for
that
data
other
calculation
head, the
methodology,
springs, I
visit
guess, are kind of old or
desjardinfunds.com.
something.
Let's shop better to help us. Let's shop for stuff.
You want to
this year to go in the prairies, which shortened up the feed supply significantly. But at that year, as well as this year, we relied on U.S. corn crop to get us through. The problem this year that we didn't have then was just some of these other disruptions of cross-border traffic and truckers and rail that's getting held up because of labor shortages or vaccine mandates.
I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure you can unscrew these and flip this right around. I could be wrong.
The drought
I can't remember if I did that.
the prairies, it reduced what a normal feed grain supply, it reduced it in less than half. So that was a
very gently.
And then just other compounding effects now.
That was Leighton Koch, a co-owner and operator at Koch Farms, speaking this morning with Mark Connolly, the host of Edmonton AM.
I never did like that cigarette. So this has 2 little pegs that are sort of off center. It's not really too important, but it'll keep dust out of the clicky mechanism. I did not put any oil. I should have put a drop of oil in there. I did not get to it later. This one's not getting adjusted again, so it doesn't matter. It's just going to stay in one position. It's filthy. It's okay. We're not done with this. And these rags are my old socks. I once they get a hole in them, that's it. They're done. I wash them one more time, take them out of the laundry. They become cleaning rags. You actually apply more force pressing that dust cap on than you do screwing in those screws. this out of the way now. So the rusty one I found on the ground, don't use a good one. You can avoid it. Let's check these. Let me not be loose. I doubt it. Somebody added feet, but these are not the real feet. This one's missing its feet too, damn it. All these screws here, be real gentle with if you want to put it back together the way it came apart. So the thing is with these fans, they almost can't hurt you except that
Vladimir Ashkenazi.
a piece of string or a cord could get wrapped up in it and choke you. Aside from that, it can't really hurt you.
We heard
It won't even catch fire for the most part. It's almost impossible.
My heart opens at your voice. From Samson and Delilah.
There are 6 of these.
Canada's own contralto extraordinaire Marie-Nicole Lemieux with the French National Orchestra. You're listening to A Little Night Music. I'm Kathleen Kajioka. We'll take a short break and return with some Rogers and Hart and Thomas Morley. How's that for contrast right after this?
Mass production type of screw. I don't know what its classification is or nothing. This has got a blunt end. It's got cheap threads.
Love the story about Brian Adams
designed to grab
and
plastic,
the legends he's photographed for
use
the
it 3 or 4
2022
times and
Quarterly
it'll strip
Calendar.
them
In an
easy.
exclusive interview, he tells Zoomer all about the project. and
Basically, the screw
all-star
can be cheap
roster,
because the
including
material is
Iggy
going
Pop,
into it and that
Cher,
tough.
and Jennifer Hudson. Also, an upcoming book and documentary sheds new light on the Beatles. Only in Zoomer, with Molly Johnson on the cover, on newsstands now.
I don't know
Zoomer
what that
Magazine.
is.
Life empowered.
Timeless beauty, timeless value. Alec Van Ryck. These pieces that are 50, 100, 150 years old.
Cause terminations are false, and you are still
Follow the label. You hear that?
Study the others in as much detail, then we will find some similarities, because many other small insects, including those not closely related, have wings of this kind. But there will also necessarily be differences too. For instance, with micro wasps, which are even smaller than the micro beetles, so it must be different to some extent. And then there will be Trippz, another group which contains very small insects. And they usually fly using both pairs of wings.
Pretty much ruined a potentially educational video by cussing all over.
And then there will be flies, which
I can make this one
even the smallest
attribution,
of the
whatever
of true
license.
flies don't have feather-like wings. So our next task would be to find out what the differences between these 4 major groups of micro-insects are regarding their flight.
But with all these tiny insects, this miniaturization of these insects, are bugs getting smaller?
Well, historically, many of them are. So this is one of the trends.
Yeah, because they used to be huge.
Among the ones that we have today, there are some of the smallest ever. In any case, we can be more or less sure that earliest insects that existed about 400 million years ago were never so small as the smallest insects today. And because this is one of the ways which allows animals, not exclusively insects, to live, survive. This is one of the trends of evolution that are good for something, for hiding, for feeding on something very small, for avoiding large predators and so on.
And so you'll be able to, studying this, you can see how these insects, as they evolve and become smaller, this is how they're going to survive, right? This is part of their evolution.
Yes, exactly. And although we cannot observe their evolution directly, we can compare them with their larger relatives. And we can compare, to some extent, we can compare modern recent insects with those about whom we know from the fossil record, from amber, from impressions in sedimentary rocks. So yes, in general, the whole thing is about understanding how evolution works, and in this case, how evolution of
as far as I know, these all 6 are the same.
No, it's just delightful to talk to you about teeny tiny beetles. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Carol. I'm very glad.
Bye-bye.
It's an honor and a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye. Thank you.
Pyotr Petrov is a senior research fellow in the University of Moscow's Department of Entomology. He's in Moscow. The packing, the purging, the inevitability of writing miscellaneous on boxes that somehow contain cutlery.
And I don't feel comfortable going back into the office with people not having boosters and potentially other people not even being vaccinated.
But if your vaccine worked, why do I need it, you moron?
That says you have to all be vaccinated. In that situation, if you don't go back to work, you would have been considered to have resigned.
No.
That sucks.
If you don't let me fuck you in the ass, you quit.
Thanks, very appreciate that. Common sense.
I'd be showing up asking for my fucking money, and I'd be fucking getting streetwise with it too, eh?
Right, Leon? That's usually how it comes down. Yeah, no, for sure. And it's very important to remember about these things with your employer. Your employer has to comply with whatever the government says. As long as they do that, they're considered to be okay, and they can require you to do your job.
Yeah, but that's where civil rights and labor rights
come
in. The labor movement.
Time to visit your neighborhood Pearl Vision, where you get 40% off lenses for adults and free lenses
This
for
is
kids.
basically a friction fit.
Remember, they direct bill most
Gently, gently, gently.
family's eye exams at pearlvision.ca. Valid
Oh, this one's never been off.
participating locations. Restrictions apply. Taxes extra. See store for details at 4/30/2022. Exams available
I
at
might not get
independent
that off.
doctors.
So maybe we won't change that part.
Next to Pearl Vision.
If it doesn't want to slide off, I'm not going to force it at this moment in time.
Just make ordering personalized cakes as easy as 1, 2, 3. Choose your favorite Baskin-Robbins ice cream flavor, your cake design, and pickup time. Order your custom cake today at order.baskinrobbins.ca.
Why couldn't it just be BaskinRobbins.ca? It's going to say order somewhere there, isn't it?
Let's head over to the business center with Ari Rabinovich. And Boeing is investing. After a stock sell-off that at one point rivaled any of the last 2 years, we had all the damage reversed on Wall Street, with buyers emerging just before the markets closed. The Dow Jones 34,364, an increase of nearly 100 points, but at one point,
You want to buy some stocks? Yeah?
so it only made up so much.
What do you want? All of it?
S&P 500, 12
We
points
got
higher to 4,410. The Nasdaq made up for about 5% of losses,
now?
but ended up adding 86 points, sitting at 13,855. The TSX down.
Oh, I should have hashtagged this Fandemic or something.
20,571, losing 50
Fan club.
points.
There we go.
Although shares in Shopify gained 7%, it wasn't enough to help the damage done. Price for oil also higher by nearly 1%, $84 US per barrel. We also have the price for gold higher by about $1 to
I don't know why this looks so burnt. It looks like oil and stuff on here. I don't
Canadian
remember.
dollar itself, 79.15 cents US, a gain of 0.02 cents. Shares News and Netflix were a big weight on the NASDAQ as the streaming giant is in its fourth straight week of losses, down 2.6% and on pace for the worst month since September 2011 after disappointing earnings from Thursday. Also, the so-called meme or Reddit stocks got slammed, with GameStop down 6% and AMC down 7.5%. We also have shares in semiconductor chip manufacturer AMD down nearly 2%. Not only that, but demand for new cars
I'm not going to fight with this one right now, but
strains in the supply chain, especially for semiconductor chips and other components, are making it harder and harder to put an order in for cars. Ford's new Maverick small pickup truck is already sold out of orders, as the company can't deliver on any more at this time. At the City News Business Center, I'm Ari Rubinovich.
Think all office chairs are the same? Then you haven't experienced an ergocentric chair. Ergocentric chairs are recommended by 94% of ergonomists. And ergocentric chairs are made for you right here in Ontario. To learn more, please visit ergocentric.com or visit our showroom and stores at the King Edward Hotel, the Square One Shopping Center, or our new larger store in the Yorkdale Shopping Center. Ergocentric, the science of sitting.
Winter weather. The kind that's wet, the kind that's dry, the kind that makes you fear the sky, the kind that makes the sidewalk slick, the kind that suggests calm and sick, the kind that cancels winter sports, the kind that's great for making forts, the kind that's tough to battle through unless you've got a Subaru. Bring on winter with symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive. Enjoy uncommon value and a winter on bonus at your local Subaru dealer.
Toronto's #1 for breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is City News 680. Everywhere.
Checking some regional weather conditions in Pickering right now, -6. We're seeing that snow falling quite hard. In Newmarket, also seeing lots of snow in -7. In Orangeville, light snow in -9. Hamilton, light snow in -6. We got an overcast sky over in London. In Kitchener, -8 degrees. In Elmira, snow and -8. This is CFTR City News 680 at 7:30.
Toronto's #1 for breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is City News 680. Everywhere.
Good evening. It's Monday, January 24th. I'm Caitlin Lee.
And I'm Asher Rod. Here's what's making news right now. Here's everything Toronto didn't want 1 week after a blizzard. More snow.
Welcome to fucking Canada. I'm really getting tired of this
The
type
latest
of
on
attitude.
your slippery drive coming
When
up.
I bitch about the weather, I don't have the means to move, and I'm from here. Half these people ain't from here. Half of Toronto is not from Toronto. Fuck you.
Vaccine mandate for truck drivers. The Canadian Trucking Alliance has denounced the convoy.
Less than a week after in-person
Why?
learning
What do you
resumed
care?
in Ontario, schools are seeing
More money for your other members that don't go. Fucking, it really should work itself out, eh?
Troops are on standby, awaiting orders to deploy to Eastern Europe as NATO braces for a possible Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Do you see how your priorities are messed up?
Raptors take the day to make some big changes to their lineups, and Dennis Shapovalov has a date with Rafael Nadal down under. Sports at 45.
After some massive losses, Wall Street managed to undo the damage in shares in IBM on the way up after an impressive earnings report. Business at 56.
Now you can remove all this shit and then wash all the plastic pieces. I'm not doing that.
Traffic and weather together on the ones. Good evening, Zach Bogan.
This
Good
time.
evening, Caitlin and Asher. This reports for Concord Sky. Eastbound 401 delays 400 to Leslie, alternately express.
You're not ready to come back to work yet. What?
Well, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna have to do this again after anyway. I might as well. I'm not too worried about totally getting every piece, right? Got lots of it. Not nearly all of it, but a lot of it. And I know I can unscrew the fan and get in here real good. I know, but I'm doing what I can do right now. Oh, all this shit a second time, I'm sure of it. Everything I knock loose on the end. Use a little bit of bleach, just a little tiny bit. All this shit will come right off. You see the shadow around the knob there? Well, the more often you do this, the less crap there'll be. See, I can get all this. I don't think I'm going to detail the whole thing unless I get really high. Then I might. I think I'm going to do a quick clean, and then I'm going to assemble the other two parts I want to put on here. So, if this won't pop off, I'm not going to fight with it right now. It doesn't want to. I'm also going to skip oiling it, I think, because I can't get at it properly, and I don't have the proper oil. I think doing all this shit here is probably going to help cool it off anyway. Oh, maybe I should oil it. Fuck.
A Day in Vienna de et par le tromboniste Slide Hampton à la tête de son sextet en 1969. Dexter Gordon était au saxophone ténor, Dizzy Reese à la trompette. Et parlant de trompette et de saxophone, mais tout à l'heure, c'est l'enthousiasme peut-être qui m'avait fait dire que Blue Mitchell et Junior Cook allaient accompagner Aura Silver. Ils sont sur le disc Song for My Father, mais pas sur le Lonely Woman qu'on a écouté. Après 35 ans de carrière, le pianiste et compositeur François Bourassa a fait paraître l'automne dernier son premier album solo situé au carrefour du jazz et de la musique contemporaine, un disque qu'il a intitulé L'impact du silence. À ce qu'il a raconté en entrevue à Alexandre Vigneault de la presse, François Bourassa a amorcé le travail sur ce disque dès le mois de janvier 2020, juste avant le début de la pandémie. Après, les concerts étaient annulés et on ne pouvait plus répéter en groupe, a-t-il expliqué. Alors, je me suis concentré sur mon approche personnelle du piano. Voici François Bourassa et Gaspard, une pièce dédiée à son garçon.
Oh, man. No, I do. I could just swap the motor. I could clip the wires and swap the motor. I don't want to do that. I should put spade terminals. I should put fucking spade terminals and everything on this. Fuck it. I mean, if I really wanted to, I could pull out the motor and the cord all in one piece, and the little isolator thing, the little mount here that's white. The white cord, white piece of plastic here. Put in the black one here. Doesn't really matter. It's vertical. That's why you gotta be careful with magnetic fucking screwdrivers. Something different.
Small Head, composition du pianiste François Bourassa, que l'on retrouve sur son album L'Impact du silence, paru l'automne dernier sous étiquette Fendi. C'est son premier disque solo en 35 ans de carrière. Un album qui mélange improvisation libre et composition très écrite. La constante, je le cite, que je passe par une approche plus cérébrale ou plus spontanée. Ce qui me guide, c'est l'émotion, l'envie de toucher, de raconter quelque chose avec la musique. C'est ce que déclarait François Bourassa à Alexandre Vigneault de la Presse en entrevue l'automne dernier. Ce sera tout ou presque en ce qui nous concerne ce soir. Vous me permettrez de remercier Jacques Lebrun à la technique et à la mise en onde, Claude Duhamel à la réalisation et qui signait une partie du choix musical. Dans quelques instants, votre soirée se poursuit sur le versant classique de notre programmation avec Marie-Christine Trottier et toute une musique. Marie-Christine qui m'écrivait que la musique garde jeune et tenez-vous bien puisqu'elle nous présente une pianiste de 97 ans qui joue Rachmaninov à merveille. Et parlant de pianiste, à l'émission demain, il y aura le quartet de Dave Brubeck, il y aura le quintet de Red Garland avec John Coltrane au saxophone, il y aura Chick Corea au sein du groupe du bassaniste Gary Burton avec Pat Metheny. Nous, on va se quitter au son de musique pour film, une autre composition de François Bourassa qui se retrouve sur son album L'Impact du silence. Et d'ici à ce qu'on se retrouve pour ce nouveau rendez-vous jazz, c'était Stanley Péon, microphone et au choix musical. Bonsoir et bonne chance.
that limits what I can do with this pipe, eh? So I'm just gonna finish the last go. And I know this is the wrong kind, but it's what I have. So. Makes it the only kind. Yeah, it's a little strong. Oh, is it? Jesus, I might be a little simple brained over here. Not too bad. If I clean it now, I won't have to do it for a while. Oh, I see. It's the valve spray. I got a few of these somehow. Find them on the ground. I don't know what you people are doing with it. It's not like I find a whole bunch of them. I find one.
Tantum Ergo, choral music by Anton Bruckner on the New Classical FM. That was the Latvian Radio Choir. We heard some Debussy before that, The Cakewalk from the Children's Corner Suite featuring Angela Hewitt on piano. And before that, a concerto for Oboe d'Amore by Telemann, the finale from the Concerto in G, played by Thomas Stacey and the Toronto Chamber Orchestra. You're listening to a little night music. I'm Kathleen Kajioka. It is time for our Composer of the Week. Every week I throw the spotlight on a different composer, and at around about this time, just after 8 o'clock, we have a listen to some of their music. I tell you about their lives, and we get to know them just a little bit better. Now it's that time of the year again. Mozart's birthday is coming up, and this week we're going to have a look at and listen to some of his early influences. Now, in this singular field of music where the focus is on brilliant individuals pulled completely out of context of time and place, I like to remember the broader communities around them that helped form their arts and voices. Now, Mozart is no exception. As otherworldly as his talent was, his skill and musical vocabulary didn't come from nowhere. This week, we shine a light on those from whom he learned early on. We start with the influence so obvious it's easy to overlook. His
Biggie
father,
Smalls and Tupac.
Leopold Mozart, was 36 when his son Wolfgang was born, and was well known himself as a composer, as a teacher, and as a violinist. He'd grown up in Augsburg, son of a bookbinder. Though his formal studies were largely in philosophy and logic, he simultaneously became an accomplished organist and violinist. Leopold Mozart published his first works when he was 20, and at 23 was hired at the court of the Archbishop of Salzburg. He eventually became deputy Kapellmeister, but rose no further, the arrival of his gifted children calling his energies elsewhere. Let's hear some of Leopold's music now. This is the opening movement from a symphony in G written in 1767.
Oh, if you want local news, it's just all bad. Just imagine everything going wrong. And if it hasn't happened yet, it probably will soon. If you guessed it and it didn't happen yet, it probably will soon. Oil. Why does that seem wrong? Bastard! Somebody took this out before. I almost missed that too. Why did you put it in fucked up if you're gonna take it apart? This is the wrong kind, but I know it's the wrong kind. Oh, that's messier than I wanted it to be. It's a lot better than worse.
Reinhard Goebel leading the Bavarian Chamber Philharmonic in the
I might have
opening
twisted the
Allegro
wires up
from the
myself,
Symphony
but there's
in
wire
G,
nuts in there.
the
They don't come with
Lombard
wire nuts from the factory.
by Leopold Mozart, the very first influence on our composer of the week. Now, in the year of young Mozart's birth, Leopold published his treatise on the fundamental principles of violin playing, one of the first manuals of its kind, and a work in print to this day. Now, in addition to giving a good window into playing styles of the time, we also get a nice dose of Leopold's own voice. It is a confident one, full of strong opinions.
Here's a short example. $12.50.
At this point, I cannot but touch on the foolish system of teaching which is pursued by some when instructing their pupils, namely that of affixing little labels with the letters written thereon on the fingerboard of the pupil's violin. If the pupil has a good musical ear, one must not avail oneself of such an extravagance. If, however, he lacks this, he is useless for music, and it were better he took a wood axe than a violin in his hand. End of quote, Leopold Mozart.
You see what lumberjacks can do with an axe?
Take note. They love putting stickers on the fingerboard. Then there's this encouraging
I bet there's a lumberjack out there that carves violins.
Actually true to this day, he writes.
I'll show you.
It is true that at first the rough character of a strong but as yet unpurified stroke greatly offends the ears. But with time and patience, the roughness of sound will lessen, and with the strength of tone, the purity thereof will be retained. Now, perhaps it was fate that Wolfgang Amadeus would be born the son of so meticulous a teacher, and a well-rounded one, too. He taught his son not only music, but also math, reading, writing, languages, and dancing. He closely guided his son into his teens as far as composition
we all teach
goes.
him some languages, don't we?
There's barely a manuscript from that period that does not include his hand. And afterwards, he continued as an editor and proofreader and archivist for the young Mozart. He also took the initiative to take him abroad on extensive tours, which not only made him famous, but also exposed him to many other influences whom we will continue to explore tomorrow. Now, let's hear from Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart himself, now mature and on his own. This is the finale from his Symphony number 39.
You can't see it, but it's filthy. I'm gonna get filthy. Somebody open this fucking one too, right? You bastards, strip it. God damn. Throw this. You throw it. Throw this one. Working will make you smoke cigarettes, and cigarettes will kill you, therefore working will kill you. That's my philosophy. They're not stripped. They're not falling
Thomas
out either.
Fay leading the Mannheimer Orchestra in the finale from the Symphony No. 3, written by the fully adult and mature Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, our composer of the week, whose influences we are getting to know this week. Really good to start with his father, Leopold. We'll take a break now and then return with some Schubert and Pierre Ney.
Hold on, but isn't that just defining a guy by his dad? Like, couldn't you have skipped that or put it last or something?
Nighttime drink. Combo Sleep features a blend of natural sleep-promoting ingredients and tastes like a delicious fruit.
If you want to go to sleep, drink this.
Let it fizz, drink, and then sweet dreams. New from Natural Calm Canada.
That's the chamber.
Eastbound 401 at your Ontario Express, the right lane is blocked.
A little bit. And in Toronto,
Candidate stuff.
Right, so there's a lot of people that want to live close to Toronto because of jobs, right? And then you look at other parts of Canada.
It's like the middle point.
And they are, you're almost forced in some circumstances to live in, if you want to live in Canada, outside of Vancouver or Toronto, right? So it makes it hard for housing, but I think as we develop more of a technology kind of focused lifestyle, which, in the last 2 years we were forced to kind of be that way, it might open the eyes of people, migrating to different parts of Canada. Like,
you're making me forget how to use a screwdriver, bro. Jesus.
To get to Muskoka or Collingwood and live there because they weren't dependent on going to downtown Toronto anymore, right? So,
but that practically is now part of GTA.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
I'm not saying it this time.
Expanding.
Yeah. See, here's the thing. I was reading an article. Chicago hasn't expanded so much in the last 50 years the way Toronto has, right? That being said, we have a lot of land. We always say, oh, there's no more land for construction. There is. I think it's the red tape that is killing it. And that's why because immigrants are coming in. We need immigrants to keep the economy going. And again,
the birth rate is 1.6. The replacement rate's 2 or 2.1 or whatever.
Housing, shelter is number one, right? Yeah. Food and shelter as they walk in. So there has to be some kind of correction. Because if we don't have enough supply, then again, the prices are going to go higher. Now, that being said, this
is Toronto. We're aware.
Again, bidding wars, again, going back to where we were in 2021, or something different might happen.
Well, right now, there's as low as I've ever seen inventory-wise, right? So that's going to cause the market to
not all fucking same.
To be really hot as far as the housing prices and the product, right? So
I'm so sorry to
do that. The new classical 96.3 FM.
Oh, this is frustrating. Polypropylene. Well, why are the dust caps ABS if you can make this out of poly? Nobody sees this part. They will now. That is not the same. So many cordless parts.
Auf dem Wasser zu singen, to be sung on the water, a song by Franz Schubert, played on violin by Daniel Hope, with pianist Sebastian Maurer. You're listening to A Little Night Music. I'm Kathleen Kajioka. Last week I was talking about...
You would have never noticed that part. You would have never noticed that part if I didn't just swap it up.
To me through my studies of Middle Eastern music, where you have not, 3 equal beats to the bar necessarily.
Hey, HONEYWELL, why'd you change all the screws? I'm confused.
Where one beat might be longer than the others, or one might be shorter than the others, which creates
one model line, one screwdriver is supposed to be the rule.
Complex than the norm. Another wonderful folk tradition that has asymmetrical rhythms is Bulgarian music, and here's a great example. Avi Avital with Itmar Douari, it's a song called Buchinis.
Got a machine head. Oh, what the hell is this? This is one of their drums. I'm sorry, I can't handle this. I cannot handle that right now.
People on board by talking to them, not mandating them, and that's not even a conversation. And so where did he come up with this policy? Where's the data driving it? I mean, he put this policy in, and it doesn't get challenged on it.
Yeah, I don't think that's entirely true. I actually think one of the benefits that Justin Trudeau actually gets with this is he's been consistent, and so people know where he stands. And anytime he has an application,
he flip-flopped. He was against vaccine mandates last year. He only flip-flopped during the election.
And so I agree with you on that.
That's compressor oil.
He's consistent in terms of what he's trying to accomplish and how
Why is there compressor oil on
to get there. And he's been pretty hard on vaccine mandates in recent months, including calling people who are opposed to them in any way, shape, or form a lot of unsavory things. I think one of the things that Justin Trudeau benefits from is the fact that he is consistent, and a lot of this is complicated. Like, there are some points on both sides. So when Justin Trudeau says this is a global phenomenon,
we're not supposed to like an hour of classical to clear our heads from this one.
Issue. He's not wrong, but he's also has a lot of policies that are actually exacerbating the issues, and he doesn't get pressed down on those. But when it comes to vaccine mandates, I think this is actually one of the areas where Justin Trudeau is actually, dare I say this, conservative, actually an effective politician.
Anybody else remember Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Jeffrey, going to a conference called Get It Your Own Damn Self?
People generally agree with the end goal. They don't care about the details. And when he does get asked and pressed on them, he's pretty good at squirming his way out of it as a politician. So you can dislike Justin Trudeau and think he's got a lot of bad ideas. I'm in that camp. But as a political communicator, he's far more effective in answering questions and dodging them, as opposed to Aaron O'Toole.
Which people in Kansas hear that?
Just disastrous. Well, maybe Mr. O'Toole should set it up the same way, where he only has a computer and he can press mute and not get follow-up questions, because it's not the way that these politicians should be dealing with questions. They should have to scrum. Let me pause it there, guys, with a quick commercial, and we'll jump back into this conversation on the other side of this thing, including we'll talk about this $10 a day childcare program, which Ontario is now the outlier. But one thing I haven't heard from is, how is this?
We've not been hearing about this since 1994 or
something. Stay here with us, and we'll get into round 2 of Counterpoint. Thanks to our friends over at Pizzaville. We'll do that next. Here, I'm Alex Pearson. This is On Point.
Here's the question. Why should I spend money on a phone plan full of things I don't need or even want? Sounds kind of odd if you ask me. Think about it. If you're the one making all the calls, then why is the phone company calling all the shots? It doesn't seem right, right? That's why I like
Traffic and weather together on the ones. Here is Zach Goodstein.
And this report's for Don Valley North Toyota. So plows are doing their thing. It's getting better out there. The problem is we're still dealing with a number of problems. So more crashes, but less volume. Eastbound 401 at Huron, Ontario in the Express.
That one's covered in transmission fluid or some shit. This one's rusty.
At Kiel in the Express. Eastbound 401 approaching Nielsen. Transfer lanes to the collectors. Right lane blocked with a stalled vehicle. And it's heavy from Liverpool to Fixin, alternately expressing collectors. Eastbound 407 right at to the 404 crash in the right lane. We had issues on the westbound 401 in a couple of spots, and both of them are cleared. At Morningside Collectors, that's gone, and then west of the 400 in the Express, that's been cleared away as well. Northbound DVP busy from Bayview Bloor up to about north of Eglinton, it looks like. So it looks like plows making their way north on the Don Valley. While we have a crash on the South 400 approaching Rutherford, the two left lanes are blocked, and things are heavy through that stretch. You'll find it slow in the area. Don Valley North Toyota is a state-of-the-art 106,000 square foot automotive experience. Visit the showroom or online anytime at DonValleyNorthToyota.com. With a look at the forecast, here's Denise Andriachi.
Well, definitely some of the snow has broken up and eased in sections.
You've been wrong every day this week.
Falling in others, and we remain under a weather advisory here in the city of Toronto, also Hamilton, and this squall activity in the southern Durham region is still kind of lingering there, and it's dropping a lot of snow in sections through Pickering, Oshawa, Ajax. Overnight, we may see a few flurries, but it's going to be very isolated in nature. Some scattered flurries possible Tuesday afternoon as well. The overnight low tonight, -10.
City News Time, 8:33.
Well, it's still winter for some reason, and winter weather travel.
God damn, did I not just say that's going to be the whole news?
It's the GTA.
This as the city of Toronto continues to clean up from last week's megastorm. Mark Douglas has more.
This time, it's not the quantity of snow like last week's 55-centimeter blizzard.
Oh, 55, sorry, I've been saying 50. Was it 55?
It's been bad enough. Here's our meteorologist, Natasha Ramsahai.
Because Lake Ontario is still largely
22
unfrozen,
inches?
that wind off the lake is driving in some additional moisture this afternoon. Pickering, Oshawa.
Okay, well. Oh, there we go. That drum shit's done. Come on. I don't understand how this rust. When was this wet? See the trick? I don't even remember to show people that, but yeah, that's how you get them in there. I keep using the good screwdriver for this. Okay, there's no real trick to this. You gotta fuck with it over and over until it slides up. You get that piece in the back one, then you can see it. I don't think those are the exact same size. I don't think I care though. There's something wrong with you.
Back-to-back funky rhythmic meters on the new classical FM, those uneven beats to the bar. We just heard a 3+2, if you want to look into it. That's from the Zordico rhythm movement from the quintet for piano and strings by Gabriel Pierre-Ney, Jean Hubot with the Viotti Quartet, and by 3+2 I mean 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2. It's just fun. Before that, great tradition in terms of rhythm, Bulgarian music. We heard a song called Buchimis, played by Abi Avital on mandolin and Tamar Doari on percussion. I'm Kathleen Kajioka. This is a little night music, returning with Elgar and Prokofiev right after this. Introducing Marilyn Lightstone Reads E.M. Forster's A Room with a View, the 6th book in Marilyn's popular podcast series with 250,000 downloads and counting. When young Lucy Honeychurch and her chaperone, products of proper Edwardian England, visit a tempestuous, romantic, and passionate Italy, what unfolds is a delightfully satiric comedy of manners and a glorious love story. Join Marilyn as she paints a gallery of characters, from Lucy, George Emerson, and Cecil Vyse, to George's riotously funny father, the novelist Eleanor Lavish, and the Reverend Mr. Beebe. Warm your heart this season with A Room with a View. Download free episodes today at classicalfm.ca. Marilyn Lightstone Reads. Beautiful stories, beautifully read, for a crazy world.
Picture this. Everything you want to sell gone in 2 weeks, and not a single garage sale. That's the beauty of using Maxwell. They convert all your home's contents into cash.
Lane, and then we've also got the
Ukraine. I mean, look,
Yeah, it was actually kind of pathetic to see the photo of former Defense Minister Harry Sajid holding up his little banner, and I've seen several people take the Photoshop to write some different words.
So one of our defense ministers makes up stories, and the other one says aliens are real, so I fucking don't know anymore.
Today, when I wasn't doing quiet work. Listen, I think Canada's response on this is a curious one to begin with. When you hear the government talking and you read some of the readouts among cabinet ministers as they put out last week, and some of the press releases that were issued from Minister Jolie's visit to the region, you would think Canada's driving the bus on this and personally flying to Moscow to point their finger really sternly at Mr. Putin and say, stay out. But that's not actually what's happening. Canada's kind of a side player in all of this. Like most things with the Trudeau government, when they can't figure out what to do, they throw money at it, which is why you saw them loan $120 million last week to demonstrate that Canada's very serious about all of this. Meanwhile, the Europeans and the Americans are actually the ones working more closely with the Ukrainians and figuring out the checks and balances that are going to be ultimately put down on the table to try and dissuade President Putin from trying to do anything. All the while, I think Mr. Putin is essentially looking at what the West has done as of late and calling the West bluff. So I hope it will prevail and nothing goes on here, but I think we're deluding ourselves if we think Canada's having any kind of material consequential impact.
Hey, we only buy vodka from Alberta now.
Not a hard bluff to call, Robin. I mean, I'm sure Vladimir Putin was quaking in his boots over that hashtag campaign. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, well, the way to get hundreds of thousands of Russian troops off of a disputed border is to hold up signs on the internet. That really scares them. Yeah, exactly. And that we're a side player in this. I mean, Biden had a call today with the European Commission and a bunch of our NATO partners, and Canada wasn't on that call because, frankly, we're not a major player on the world stage, despite what we like to tell ourselves. And I think that whatever you want to call it, hashtag We Stand With Ukraine campaign was the epitome of Trudeau's foreign policy, which is something that has major hashtag appeal, that's safe but largely insubstantial, and that's low stakes and a little bit embarrassing. And I think you can use that description for a lot of the things that this government does in the realm of foreign policy. The extent that Canada can make any difference in Ukraine other than throwing $120 million or so is debatable. Arguably, it's negligible. But while we're not doing much of something, I think the least that we can ask of our federal government is not to be so damn embarrassing about it.
And if you leave them to have to buy weapons with it,
and audacity.
a good chunk of them are sourced from Russia or Soviet bloc countries.
Very much appreciate the conversation. We'll do it again. Thanks, guys.
Have a good week later.
That is Jamie Ellerton, and that is Miss Robin Urbach, who you can read in the pages of the Globe and Mail. Yes, audacity. All right, well, we'll come back a little off-putting, and we were warned it would happen last week, and Russia followed through. We'll talk about the attack on Canadians and computers. That's next. Stay here with us, Alex Pearson. You're listening to On Point.
He's going to make us wait like 14 of the next 15 minutes, but I got to hear this.
Let's head out to the roads for a look at 640 Toronto chopper traffic.
Well, overall, there's less volume, but still a laundry list of issues on the eastbound 401 Express. It here, Ontario.
A laundry list.
The right lane. We had that upgraded.
How long has it been since you needed a list in order to do laundry?
Express past Keel blocking the left lane, and this express to collector transfer at Nielsen where the right lane is blocked.
Soap, quarters, laundry.
And issues past the 400 have cleared. We have the eastbound 407 off-ramp to the 404 close for a jackknife tractor trailer there. And southbound 400 have eyes on this issue as you approach Rutherford. 2 left lanes blocked with a crash as well. Are you a low mileage driver? You could be saving on your car insurance with pay-as-you-go insurance from CAA MyPace. Learn more at CAAMyPace.com. I'm Ugly National 640 Toronto chopper traffic.
Divorce can bring out the worst in human beings. If you're worried about losing your children, selecting the right lawyer will have a major effect on your case and your life.
Well, like losing them to who? Because it's all relative, right?
And tomorrow, Felix Auger-Aliassime will battle Daniil Medvedev.
Is Medvedev a Russian name? Never mind. Even my hair is doing a spiral, like a fucking DNA helix or something. I can't. I'm loving with it.
An elegant opening movement from the Serenade for Strings by Elgar, the Allegro Piacevole, played by the London Philharmonic.
It's black, so you're not going to see it anyway. You know what? I'm going to stop talking.
Radio Classical FM is an official radio sponsor of Canada's most lavish Chinese New Year charity gala. That's coming up February 5th, Saturday night, a virtual gala in support of senior care at Yihong Center for Geriatric Care and the construction of 3 new long-term care homes. The 33rd annual Dragon Ball celebrates the Year of the Tiger. You'll enjoy a fantastic evening of flying, takeout cuisine, spectacular
they don't have a Year of the
entertainment, and
Leopard.
more. For information or to purchase tickets, go to yihongdragonball.org or call 416-321-0777. Some Prokofiev is next. This is from his Piano Concerto No. 3. Some music that he was kind of sporting around the U.S. as he tried to forge a career there. Here's Evgeny Kissin with the Philharmonia Orchestra.
Don't lose this. had a little tool here. Damn it. What fan grills look like, man? These might pop out easily, but the hell? Why did you give me such a hard time before? There's so much. That's helpful.
Country Song, music by Gustav Holst, in the spirit of folk music. That was the City of London Symphonia under Richard Hickox. Before that, some Prokofiev, the theme and variations from the Piano Concerto No. 3. Evgeny Kissin was the soloist with the Philharmonia Orchestra. You're listening to A Little Night Music. I'm Kathleen Kajioka, turning now to a recent recording. Tonight we will hear the award-winning performance of Bruce Liu at the 18th International Frédéric Chopin Competition. And this is his performance. So in the heat of the competition, as I say, it's like watching the Olympics, listening to this particular performance. This is the Polonaise from the Andante Spianato, a Grande Polonaise by Chopin.
Oh shit! Ah, we missed the thing. this point. Oh no! We didn't make it fit. Give us a bucket. Bucket gets the
It's paying too low.
A lot of people though are asking, what can Canada actually do? Why should we get involved? Well, we'll talk with someone who's got a lot of experience dealing with NATO and a lot of experience with the military on what exactly Canada can do to help one of our allies. Stay with us for that. I'm Alex Pearson. This is On Point.
That means she didn't cover that story yet. That was half an hour ago. I thought we missed it. So you can put the black grill on the white fan, but you can't put the white grill on the black housing.
The orchestra of the Champs-Élysées under Philipp Herreweghe, that was the Scherzo from the Symphony No. 3, The Rhenish by Robert Schumann. And that followed our new track After 9, the award-winning performance by Canadian pianist Bruce Liu of Music by Chopin from the International Chopin Competition, which he won last year. We heard the second movement from the Andante Spianato and Grand Polonaise. You're listening to a little night music. I'm Kathleen Kajioka. On this blustery Monday, we will continue with some Mozart and Glick. Stay tuned.
The holiday season is over and New Year is here, and Pollock's Car...
I'm disaffected with the Progressive Conservative Party in Ontario. Toronto Today with Greg Brady, sponsored by accessrebates.ca, helping you access government rebates. Weekdays at 5:30. We are 640 Toronto.
I bet you Indian status isn't in there.
Yes, Michael. Mr. Jones wants to hear about your selection of diamonds. Well, Michael, Spence sells two kinds of diamonds, Earth diamonds and artisan-created diamonds. And the difference is, Earth diamonds were created in the heart of the Earth when our planet was young. And the other, artisan-created diamonds were born in the heart of a plasma chamber, inside a ball of lightning, a miniature sun. But they are diamonds? Oh yes, they're diamonds. And Spence sells both kinds. Michael, Spence has all the sizes and colors and clarities of Earth diamonds. And all the sizes and colors and clarities of artisan-created diamonds. Yes, and every style of engagement
I want mud.
ever been designed. And we can customize
Double
any
extra
design
large,
to make it one of a kind.
Double extra, yeah.
That's amazing. Spence Diamonds is an amazing place. Every possible diamond and every possible engagement ring. Welcome to Spence Diamonds.
Woo! Spence Diamonds. Wow! Located in Vaughan, Scarborough, and Mississauga.
I'm often asked, how do I get more PC Optimum points? The answer? Points Days, coming January 27th to February 2nd. Here's a great story.
Hey, PC, just got 68,000 points during your PC Optimum Points Days. Smiley face, smug face.
Wow, that's worth $68. Smiley face, exploding head, heart. From our biggest points event to our iconic cookie, which is $2 for members, by the way. These are a few of the ways we make every
What's
day
it cost for everybody else?
Download the PC Optimum app to start earning now.
It's an all-new year. Perfect time for an all-new 2022 Civic, Canada's best-selling car for 24 years in a row. Not surprising with its reimagined interior
Most stolen,
and
too.
features like remote engine starter, heated front seats, and Honda sensing technologies. Visit the Dream Garage event to reserve and lease a 2022 Civic LX from just $66 weekly at 3.99%. And enjoy the new year. For 60 months, $1,725 down. Taxes extra. Anticipated delivery early 2022. See HondaOntario.com.
The stories you want from the voices you know.
Toronto's news, today's talk.
640 Toronto.
We are extremely concerned about the Russian aggression and the ongoing threat of further invasion into Ukraine. That is why we've worked with our diplomats, our military in place and around the world to ensure that we're doing everything we can, whatever eventuality comes up.
All right, so there's the Prime Minister. He was asked a lot of questions today about the situation evolving.
He's had a lot of conversations with military people lately.
Mainly is Canada starting the evacuation of our personnel in that country. And he was
Thanks,
very vague
Valerie.
on that, and all sorts of questions he got on that. And
Yeah, my
how much
joint's
have
not
the
rolling.
diplomats
Roll
and
on,
the families
roll
out of
on.
the country, and what seems now like an imminent attack by Russia. And I think a lot of
Did
people
they
here
get
wanna know
attacked
what
already? They took a
is
big chunk of land
Canada's
already.
role? What are we going to do? And over the weekend, I couldn't help but
They
giggle
didn't,
when
they
you
didn't
saw
get undone. They didn't get to give it back.
sending out these memes
See,
saying,
it doesn't need glow-in-the-dark gloom, luminous,
and
whatever.
we've got a country that is begging for us to send them weapons. They are surrounded by over 100,000 Russian troops. They do not need virtue signaling. But what can we do? I mean, do we have weapons to send?
Yeah.
And why do we need to step up to protect
Why
Ukraine?
do we have weapons for the
Well, that's
Afghan
also
army, but not these
idea
guys?
of the threat
Just
we
wondering.
face. Not just Ukraine, but all of us. Major General David Fraser joining us. He is the president of Aegis 6 Corporation, but he is a former commander of NATO ground forces in southern Afghanistan. Good to have you.
By the way,
So I don't think a hashtag campaign is going to cut it these days.
Not at all. And quite frankly, that misses the mark. If I look at the situation, there's political, economic, and military, and let's talk about politics. And this is where leaders and ministers stand up with their counterparts in the world and speak to Russia about what is unacceptable. And
this is where we need to be talking with our allies and not just sending hashtags.
And you understand how NATO works and the role we can play, could play, have to play. I mean, NATO seems very fractured right now. I mean, France is having its own talks with Russia right now. You've got Joe Biden, who came out last week and said,
doing their own deal with Iran,
too, right? And said, well, no, I didn't mean that. And then you've got Justin Trudeau, who will not commit really to telling Canadians, what can and will we do. What can? I mean, we have 500 soldiers, as I understand, in Latvia, but that is part of a 1,000 NATO soldier, unit that I guess has been working with Ukrainian military. What can Canada do? What should we be doing? I mean, we can mount sanctions and should have probably done that a while ago, as Putin's got, billions of dollars all over the world. But what can we do?
Well, and I look at our finance minister, who is being very hawkish about Ukraine and about Russia, and I look at our prime minister, they both can stand up and speak loudly that this is unacceptable from a Canadian perspective. And not just cower back, but actually speak out and support what the President of the United States has said. Go to NATO, make a statement, go to the UN, make a statement, but make a public statement about the unacceptability of what Putin and Russia is trying to do. This is about democracy. This is about freedom. Ukraine is a free nation. It doesn't need to do this. It may not be a partner of NATO, but that doesn't matter. They are a democratic state, and we should support them. If he really wants to make a statement, he goes over and meets with the president of Ukraine and stands there and says, Canada will not accept any incursion by Russia in sovereign Ukraine. It's that simple if he wants to make a statement.
And certainly a lot of people have said, this is just Putin saber rattling. He's got, dismal ratings. He's got all sorts of problems that maybe he wants to distract from. That may all be well and good, but he does have an awful lot of military already amassed on three sides of the country. So it looks like there's not much for him to lose at this point, but to do whatever he can, because I think he smells weakness in the West. My concern would be if we don't take action and Ukraine falls, then what's stopping a guy like Vladimir Putin from saying the Arctic now belongs to us, because we have ignored the Arctic at our own peril. The Russians have amassed massive amounts of firepower in the Arctic. So if they do go into Ukraine, what's stopping them from continuing on and taking other territories?
Well, I want to put it into context that Ukraine is quite different because first of all, it abuts against Russia. It is not part of NATO. It is far away from Canada and from most of the NATO countries out of the 14 that have joined since 97, 3 of which actually touch onto Russia. So I think Putin is in a position of strength to negotiate or to do what he's doing, saber rattling vis-a-vis Ukraine. Arctic will be much, much different because now you're butting up against China, you're butting up against all the Arctic states, including us. So, but in the Ukraine,
a bunch of states that aren't big enough
to advantage of a weakened
we're the biggest one.
Leadership that has been focused on COVID, the economy, fractured aspects within NATO, the energy agreements that he has had for many years with countries like Germany and other European countries. So he's in a position of power, and this is about seeing how much he can push that. How much can he push his domestic agenda to show them that he is standing up to the West? And finally, how much can he actually push inside Ukraine without disenfranchising Ukrainians against Russia for the mid and long term? So he's working on 3 levels politically.
Yeah, and when I think we look, to Canada and our military role around the world, we just have not invested in the military. It's been involved in a number of scandals over the last few years, which have become a major source of distraction. But the bottom line is, I think a lot of people are starting to realize that Canada on the world stage, we don't punch above our weight, but we also really, when it comes to defending ourselves, we are not a nation that can, and correct me where I'm wrong, it doesn't seem even interested in playing a role defending itself.
I would say that Canada was punching at its weight, above its weight, coming out of Afghanistan.
We proved to the world that we were significant contributors, and we showed what we were capable of doing, and we had a lot of voice during the time we were in Afghanistan. Since Afghanistan has been over a decade, we disappeared off the world stage. And our military, as wonderful as the men and women who serve are, they're not being taken as seriously as they used to be. And notwithstanding what we've got in Latvia or even the trainers in Ukraine, so what? There are bigger and better forces out there, and fundamentally, our military has disappeared off the discussion board. This brings us back to where is Canada's role internationally, and this is a political issue. It's less so a military one.
And so in your mind, as you kind of watch things unfold, and you know, we kind of are in this holding pattern, what do you see if Russia decides it's going to invade? What does this look like? Does this look like, you know, what we saw with Crimea, where we talk a big game here in NATO in the West, but nothing happens and Russia succeeds? Or do you actually see this becoming a military conflict?
I don't think Putin wants a military conflict where he's fighting the West. But I do see Putin trying to do what he did in Crimea, to try to take it such that there's nothing that the West can do. And how does he do that? Well, he's doing it right now. He's doing cyber attacks. He's doing political maneuvering. He's trying to figure out how much can he push it without going into an all-out war. And he's not going to do anything while everybody's tense, i.e., like today. He'll wait till he turns the volume down a bit and probably do what he did in Crimea, and that'll be a surprise. And afterwards, what do we do? It's already done. People were kind of taking a rest after the ramp up where we are today. So I don't see it happening imminently, but he is testing the waters. And if he can do this without generating a war, and if he can do it through information operations or through cyber means, he'll probably take the advantage, because he's been doing this for decades.
Do you see this as a bit of a wake-up call to Canada, that we have to start thinking moving forward, that we have to start investing in military? I mean, no one wants to go to war, but the reality is we live in a different world.
A lot of people want to go to war out there, right?
In China, Russia, other countries. Is it time that Canada starts assessing our role moving forward on the world stage?
100%. I mean, Putin has brought us back to the Cold War days, and we cannot ignore them. They went into Syria when we couldn't go into Syria. Now they're doing what they are doing in Eastern Europe. And if we don't do something here, what's going to happen, going back to your earlier point about the Arctic? And there is an awful lot of resources up in the Arctic, and we better be awake, because if we can't lose the Arctic from an economic point of view. And there is another factor here that all of us should be paying attention to. It's called China. And China is watching with keen interest what the West does vis-a-vis Putin and Russia. And let us not underestimate their desire to become a world superpower. Whatever Russia does, China will come in right behind in the South China Sea vis-a-vis Taiwan and the Arctic.
You speak properly.
Yeah, and they made some big moves this week in making sure that Taiwan knows they're there, and making sure the world knows that they are very keen on taking Taiwan. So I guess they'll wait for us to be distracted to make that move. Very much appreciate you joining us and giving us some of your insight from, interesting perspective that you have. Thanks so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
That is Major General David Fraser, who has particular experience with NATO and certainly how things work on the ground, and gives us an interesting perspective. On the inside of this break, 2 years of lockdowns, 2 years of digging deeper, 2 years of being, doing what was asked of us, and we're seeing very little change. On the other side of this break, Dale Bricker joins me to break down some interesting numbers he has come up with on this shift to the frustration levels going up in this country with Canadians. That on the other side of the break. Stay here with us. I'm Alex Pearson, and this is On Point.
There are 25 Swedish words for snow. A Volvo is made to withstand.
I don't believe you. Ah, damn it. So this fan that was right behind me was not in the right spot. The one over the door. This is good. I got a nice breeze going on here. So they're not fully swappable. The white grill is smaller. And the housing, I guess, is too. So the grill will fit on the housing. The black one will fit on the white housing, but not the other way around. That sucks. Why wouldn't they be exactly
Judy
the same?
Lohman playing David and Saul from the King David Sonata by Cyril Irving Glick. You're listening to A Little Night Music. I'm Kathleen Kajioka. We will take a short break. We'll be back with Beck and Mendelssohn right after this.
Because I'm a loser, baby.
Hi, it's Mark Wigmore. Tomorrow from 3 to 7 p.m.
And older. Always read.
City News on 937. Global Affairs Canada has been hit by a cyber attack that some reports have blamed on Russia. According to a government statement, a cyber incident was first detected Wednesday, the same day Canada's spy agency warned our country could be the target of cyber threats from Russia. Global Affairs was the only department affected, but its systems have still not returned to fully normal use. Ottawa says it's investigating, but Global News is citing sources who say Russian hackers may be responsible.
A high-ranking Toronto police officer accused of giving a few other lower-ranking officers an edge in the interview process has made her first appearance before a disciplinary panel. Superintendent Stacey Clark is charged under the Police Services Act with multiple counts of breach of trust and discreditable conduct, as well as this.
Après l'université. Mais là, je me suis.
Of Ipsos Public Affairs, as well as author of a number of books, including Next. She joins us now. Good to have you, Gerald.
Thanks for having me on, Alice.
Alrighty, so according to the numbers you've got, our tolerance to lockdowns has dropped even further. It's now 52% safe.
And I'm not referring to that new video game he bought to play against his grandkids, though I'm sure his thumbs will get the hang of it soon. Get him, Bill. No, the good choice he made was getting his COVID-19 booster. Thanks for helping stop the spread, Bill. And thank you for doing your part, Canada. Choose to boost. Like all vaccines, 100% protection can't be guaranteed and adverse reactions may occur. Talk to your healthcare professional to see if the vaccine is right for you. Brought to you by Moderna.
According to the newest research, Canadians spend 22 years, 2 months, and 12 days of their lifetime online. It's important to pay special attention to online.
If we remember this.
இவரை போதுமான டீசலை கையிருப்பில் இருப்பதாகவும்
बीच में खुसूस नौजवानों के लिए तरतीब दिया गया है।
बलूचिस्तान के शहर हब में कारखाने में गैस लीकेज के बायस होने वाले धमाके में 12 मजदूर जख्मी हो गए हैं। दूसरी जानिब बलूचिस्तान के 15 अजला में आज से पोलियो से बचाव के कतरे पिलाने की मुहिम भी शुरू हो गई है। कोयटा से मोहम्मद कासिम।
I'm gonna have to swap that grill back because it's rattling. I don't care, but it's rattling. It'll eventually be a problem. Won't be a problem tonight, but.
That is Weird Al Yankovic and White and Nerdy. Brad, there's a Weird Al Yankovic biography coming out, like a biopic.
Yeah, a biopic written.
Any design to me.